What's up guys, Allee-Sutton here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. We are going to have a blast today reviewing the 2015 live action remake of Cinderella, one of my personal all-time favorite films. So this film was directed by Sir Kenneth Branagh and it's based off of the 1950s original animated Cinderella. It only takes a few deviations from the original plot. We follow the story of Ella, who after she suddenly and unexpectedly loses her father, becomes nothing more than a scullery maid and servant to her evil stepmother and stepsisters. Her anguish leads her to the woods where she meets a charming stranger unexpectedly, and soon after an invitation to the palace ball follows. Hoping to reunite with this dashing stranger, Ella plans to attend, but her hopes are dashed by her evil stepmother and stepsisters, and that is when her fairy godmother, with a magic touch for ordinary things, comes in to save the day. So I was upfront with you guys, this is one of my all-time favorite films, probably in my top 5, but today I really wanted to devote time to breaking down what I think makes this such a great film, and largely to me that has a lot to do with the visual department. So everything from cinematography, costumes, hair and makeup, set deck, and art direction, and then of course the casting, the acting, and last, the story. So let's not waste any more time, let's jump right in. Let's start off with the cast. To me, this film was perfectly cast. I loved Lily James as Ella. I think that she's such a traditional, pure, simple beauty who brought so much to this role. She was kind and she was gentle and soft and really did serve as the perfect Cinderella and an excellent role model for all the young girls that were watching. Richard Madden, not only obviously he's gorgeous, he was so gorgeous, but he was the perfect, kind and charming and dashing prince. I loved his relationship with his father. You can't talk about this movie without talking about how perfect Cate Blanchett was. She was incredible, and all the decisions that she made with her team and the help of, you know, even like hair, makeup, and wardrobe. She just played this character so perfectly and had so many incredibly brilliant moments. I think she was so perfect in this role. And then of course the supporting cast was amazing. You had Helena Bonham Carter, of course, as the fairy godmother, who did a wonderful job with the film's narration. I loved having her do that, and I think that she was so much fun as kind of a quirky, zany take on the fairy godmother. That was one of the departures from the original film that I thought was really great and really enjoyable. As Derek Jacobi as the king, I cry in so many of his scenes, just every time. It gets me every single time. But he was wonderful. I think he and Richard Madden shared a really wonderful father-son dynamic that brought so much to this film. There was Nonso, I'm hoping I'm saying this right, Nonso Anozie, and the stepsisters. They were wonderful. I loved all of their scenes. They added so much comedy to this film, which really does have some difficult, heart-wrenching moments. They brought a lot of lighthearted comedy to this film, which I thought was incredible. This cast was incredible and their performances were so wonderful. There was so much great chemistry, really great dynamic, and just from the outside looking in, it looks like they had a really great time making this film. So not only do I feel like this film was beautifully cast and acted, but it's visually stunning. This film is just gorgeous to look at, and I love the color palette of this film. It's bursting with full, vivid, bold, bright colors that are just like a feast for your eyes the entire time. And that's carried through from everything from costumes to set design to hair and makeup. It's all wonderful. But let's start with costume design. Costumes were designed by the legendary Sandy Powell. She's been nominated for Oscars. I believe she won for Shakespeare in Love, and I think this is some of her best work. The amount of work that had to go into each and every costume, not only for our lead and supporting cast, but every single extra, blows my mind. She did so much to enhance the color palette of this film by choosing bright, rich, warm tones, and then did a lot to evoke theme and character and mood for each one of the characters throughout the film. So we continually see Cate Blanchett's character in colors that Disney typically associates with villains. So we see a lot of lime green and dark black and things like that, and you see that motif happening in her wardrobe. She stayed true to the original animated film with the stepsisters doing pink and greenish yellow for them, which I thought was really cool. I loved that Kit and Ella were both paired a lot of times in nice, beautiful soft blues, which I did choose to stay on theme today. But Sandy Powell, these costumes were incredible. I think that they have them in certain film exhibits. You can't talk about the costumes without talking about the dress. I love the dress. I thought it was perfect. It was incredible. It was one of those things that people were looking forward to about the film, is seeing how they brought the magic of the dress from the animated film to life in the live action. And I just feel like they absolutely nailed it. It's a dress that every girl, I think, dreams of having something like that, and really made those magical moments with Ella's big entrance to the ball just even greater. I think that you can really see Sandy's work in all of its glory in those ballroom scenes, which leads me to my next point, set design. So the sets for this film were incredible. I know for the Palace Ball, that was hand built on a soundstage, which still blows my mind. It was so intricate, so beautiful. Ella's childhood home, I want to move in there. Gorgeous. I can never get over the swan light fixture in their house. Just the amount of detail that went into every single aspect of this film is mind-blowing. And the cinematography, the director of photography on this film also shot another movie that I love, which is also very beautiful, Murder on the Orient Express. So wonderful cinematography, lighting, colors, art direction. The other thing that we should talk about visually is the hair and makeup. Amazing. The hair and makeup on this film is truly incredible. This whole department was so talented. And while it wasn't true to the time period, Cinderella set in the 1840s, the decision was made very consciously by these department heads. So in their research and preparation, they knew that in the 1840s Victorian era, women would wear ringlets and no makeup. However, because they had talked to Sandy Powell and set design, they knew that the color palette for this film was going to be rich, busy, exciting, and intricate, and they didn't want the hair and makeup to be bland or fall flat or get lost in all of that. So what the hair and makeup department decided to do in their conversations with the art department and with Sandy Powell was to treat hair and makeup as though this film was being made in 1940 about a story taking place in the 1840s. So they called back to films like Gone with the Wind. You know, in that time period, women in Hollywood would never even leave their trailer without their full glam. So that's what they decided to do. And that's when we see great looks like we saw in Cate Blanchett that kind of remind us of classic old Hollywood glamour. Now, a lot of people, like I said, were upset that this wasn't true to the time period, but it was an artistic choice that we see that's consistent, and I really think does add to the visual element of this film, and I personally love. Set design, costume design, everything about this film visually was beautifully stunning, and that's another thing that I just absolutely love about it. Last, let's get to the very heart of the film, the writing and the story. So before I saw this film for the first time, I had tons of friends that went to take their children to see it. And when everyone was leaving the theater, they kept telling me, you have to go see this. You don't need to have kids. I loved it, my kids loved it, and I cannot wait to go back. And I think, of course, all the things we talked about contributed to that. A wonderful cast, great acting, and beautiful visuals. But the heart of this film is what I think makes it so near and dear to those of us that just love it. I think that a lot of people ragged on this film for it not being different from the original story, and I have to say that didn't bother me at all. I was so glad to see somebody kind of say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. In a lot of ways, I think it's harder to do what this team did. I think that, you know, taking a fairy tale and making it dark and different, or making it a total departure from the original story, or creating a backstory. That's been done so much now that it's almost expected. And I think in a lot of ways it's harder to take a story that people know, love, and cherish and expand on it in a way that you flesh out what was there in an hour and 16 minutes in an animated film and make it human and real and touching and moving, and give these characters breath in the life in a way that they've never had it, but that's not drastically different from the original. And I love how they did that here. Some of the things that I think are best about this story are the relationships that take, 10 seconds in the original film, really diving into those. Mainly the relationship between Ella and her parents and Kit and his father. Those moments in the story, for me, are what make me cry every single time. I cry within the first 10 minutes of this movie every time I watch it, and I'm not a big baby when it comes to movies. Like, I don't cry in every single movie that I see, and I think that if you can do that, it really is a sign, like I said, not only of a great cast and acting, but great writing and wonderful story. And then, of course, the message of this film. I love the message of this film. They knew their target audience was going to be young people, and especially children, and I love that throughout the film we're always reminded to have courage and be kind, because I think that's something we truly need now more than ever. All right, so what did you guys think of this film? What's your favorite live action remake of a Disney classic? Let me know in the comments section down below, and I'll see you here next time. Bye!